Hey guys, it's Telle from The Word Alive,
And Matt from the Word Alive.
and these are our early years.
The first show I ever played was, if I think back, it would have been a talent show when I was in middle school. And it went really good, but, man, I think I went off by like a quarter note beat, and I was ahead of my whole band by a complete quarter note. And I finished a complete quarter note before the rest of the band, and I don't know. My parents thought it was great, but
That's the best thing about parents. You do really bad, and they're like, "You're so good." And they go home and they're like in their bedroom. They're like, I love our son, but maybe this isn't for him." My first was not a talent show, but it was a show at my school that we convinced the athletic director to open up the gym to throw a $5 show. Only us. Terrible band. I think we played 17 songs. Some covers, some originals. Almost all of them were really terrible. There were, I would say, 75 people there, which is kind of crazy. But they thought it was something else. And so when we're like playing some of the heavier songs at the time, people were like complaining. They're like, "What is this?" Because it was at a Christian school, and so they're very conservative, and there was no swearing involved, but it was definitely like people were like very angry, wanted their money back at times, and that was not an option. I got in a car accident on the way, and like 30 minutes before I was supposed to play, and I did terrible, but I thought it was the best day of my life at that time.
my first ever band practice was, I remember my mom drove me to my buddy's house, and he had this big, it was like, I live in Arizona and no one has basements, but this kid had a basement. It was like the quintessential dirty young kids in a room making music together, and they were all older than me, and I was just this young kid. And I don't know, honestly, it went really great, and everything went really smooth. And I just remember everybody being super impressed that, I don't know, I was just like this young kid that actually played pretty decently. And, nothing but good. It was just a good experience, honestly, overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say mine was super good too. So opposite, even though I grew up in Ohio and everyone had basements, there was our drummer at the time who was god awful. He's now a doctor though, so like he's very talented in a different way. But he was a horrible drummer, the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. Double that, he's still worse than that. But he had his dad was like kind of a hobbyist musician, had a lot of nice guitars, a lot of gear, and he had kind of this attic he had transformed into a practice studio. So we went there, and we thought we had made it. Like, we were just like, this is amazing. There's a PA system, there's microphones set up, everyone is playing on nice gear. I was like, oh, being in a band isn't that hard. And I had obviously no idea. And so that was the beginning of it, though. I became obsessed with playing in a band in that room. So.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm a drummer, so obviously Travis Barker was my first, musician crush of all time. And no, I've never gotten to meet him. I've never played with him. But, I mean, still to this day, I could still love Travis Barker as a drummer. I think he's great, super tasteful, always been tasteful, always has been able to play something super hard and complex, but that doesn't get in the way of music. And one day, hopefully, I'll get to play with him, but we'll see.
I've been very fortunate. So I've met and played with and toured with almost all the people who really inspired me the most to become a singer and tour. First and foremost, Jeff from Thursday was really the person who, seeing them live, pushed me over the top, that made me want to become a frontman, and not just enjoy music, but made me think for the first time, I think I want to do this too. Spencer from Under Oath, Trying to think who else. Even Shane from Silverstein, who we become really good friends. Now we're all friends, and doing this for the last 12 years. We've had the privilege of touring with all those bands, and I think, life is kind of full circle in a lot of ways, and in music. And one thing that, like Jeff told me is, like, early on, they have their people they look up to. Then you meet those people, then you become friends, peers, and then hopefully at some point, it keeps shifting and you become that person for someone else. And that's what hopefully keeps you humble, and like understanding that we're all doing the same thing. We're just in a cycle where you might be in your cycle. And so I've loved getting to know the people that I looked up to most, that now we're peers and we tour together, and you just realize that you're all just people who love music, trying to do the same thing, and we all started the same way, and it's really cool.